Vladimir Putin has gone back to work, one day after an audacious attack on his office. We see him here talking to the development minister at the Kremlin, Russia's traditional seat of power. But we now know it's not immune to attack. In what seems to be a spectacular failure of security, the complex was hit by 2 drones. But how did this happen, and who's responsible? Moscow has a special system called the SA-22 to ward off attacks from the air. It provides a big defensive shield, as represented by these concentric rings, with its weapons placed on top of prominent buildings. This one pictured on the roof of the Defense Ministry. Yet the first drone hit the top of the Senate building within the Kremlin complex, setting fire to part of the roof. 15 minutes later, the second skirts the flagpole and detonates above the roof of exactly the same building. Experts wonder whether the defense shield had been switched off.
The founder of the Russian mercenary group known as Wagner says his forces will leave the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut early next week. Yevgeny Prigozhin earlier published this video filmed in front of dozens of corpses he said were Wagner soldiers. He blamed Russia's top defense officials for heavy losses and accused them of starving his forces of ammunition. The Wagner Group has spearheaded Russian attempts to capture Bakhmut since last summer.
8 school children are dead. The 14-year-old student opening fire at a middle school in central Belgrade. A security guard was also killed and several other students injured. Now, the suspect is alleged to have used his father's gun. He was led away by police, his head covered to protect his identity. He's, of course, a teenager. Panicked parents rushed to the school when word of this shooting spread. The children were locked in the classrooms with their teachers for safety and were led out one by one. Now, mass shootings in Serbia, they're rare, but gun ownership is actually among the highest in Europe. At this stage, though, we just don't know the motive behind this horrific attack.
In Pakistan, at least 8 teachers have been shot dead at a school. The attack happened during an exam period in Kuram district in the northwest. Police are investigating the motive behind the killings.
The incident took place in Kuram district. This is very close to the Afghan border. This is also an area which has seen in the past sectarian violence between Shia and Sunni tribes in the area. This particular attack targeted the teachers while they were in the staff room, 7 of them, and they were there basically to conduct examinations which are underway.
What you're seeing in this video is an international takedown of one of the world's most notorious mafia gangs in Italy and Germany and 8 other countries around the world. Nearly 3,000 officers storming suspects' houses, finding hiding places like this, and seizing handguns, assault rifles, watches, and large stacks of cash, arresting 132 members alleged to be from Italy's prominent mafia syndicate known as the 'Ndrangheta. Europol calling this, quote, the largest ever coordinated hit against the organized crime group that dates back more than 200 years.
For coronation weekend, commuters in the UK will hear a very important and often ignored message by their monarch: to mind the infamous gap between the train and the platform.
My wife and I wish you and your families a wonderful coronation weekend.
Wherever you are travelling, we hope you have a safe and pleasant journey.
And remember, please mind the gap.
The message comes ahead of King Charles III's coronation on Saturday, and people will be flowing in from all over the country and abroad to see the festivities in London, which means millions will need to remember to mind the gap.